What's up, guys? So this is question 6 on the exam. This is on bank fraud. So basically, it's about this cool Benford's law, how they like detect fraud data inside of banks. And so basically, we're writing a function called Benford that takes no parameters, automatically reads from this hard-coded bank CSV. Probably not the best way to do this, but it's basically going to read from the CSV file, and we're going to return a list where each line we're going to check and see if it starts with, we're going to see how many of the values start with a 1. So for instance, this first line here, we see that this returns 0.5 because, let's see, half of the values, 1 and 13, have a 1 in the first digit. So basically we're returning the percent of the numbers in the line that have a 1 in the first place. You have this little hint here that says you don't need to actually cast anything. And that's kind of, you might, the reason why is that, remember when you read from a file, everything's going to be by a string by default. And if you want to check digits of numbers, you have to cast to a string. So you could just not cast an integer and just kind of go for it. So I set up I believe I set up a bank.csv. So let's see, we have bank CSV right here. That's weird. We have this bank CSV. So let's see, we need to def our Benford function, which has this kind of hard-coded in. So I guess we could just kind of open it. We can maybe store this in a variable called stream. So remember, this stores a file stream. So I could say, actually, you know what? Whenever I write the word stream, I feel like everyone gets really confused. I'm just gonna store this as f. This is the file thingy. It's just a thing that open returns. You don't have to worry about what a stream is. You can learn about that in OS if you want. So we're gonna return. We're gonna open bank.csv, and when we're open, returns this weird file thingy that we just store somewhere. You can store it in a stream variable, whatever. So now we're going to, so usually there's multiple ways to open files. We could do ways to read files. You could do f.read, you could do read lines, you could do read line, you could do all this stuff. I actually recommend, for these kinds of CSV things, you could just do for each line in the file. So this is going to be the file thingy here. You could actually technically, since we're in read mode, you could just do this. That's kind of bad though, because it's not really closing your file, because remember, it's a good idea at the end to sort of, close your files. I don't think we actually cared on this question. Let's see, I don't think, if we go, I thought the key was on here. Yeah, I don't think, close, I don't think, yeah, we didn't even test that. But, you could also even, if you wanted to, if you want to be extra good, you could say with open bank CSV as f, and then indent all this stuff. But you know what? Let's just do it the easy way. So, because remember, with as technically closes it for you, but again, we didn't even check that you closed it, so I shouldn't have even mentioned it. But whatever. Okay. So basically, we open this bank CSV as a file thingy. We stored it in this variable, and then I recommend using this for loop. Just say for each line in the file. So if we just I know you can't do this on the exam, but if we just printed out line here. This is just going to print out all of the lines. Hold on, I have to call it. Call the function Benford, not Benfound, Benford. This is going to print out each line. The reason that there's extra lines is because there are new lines at the end of the file. So if I did line.decode, line.encode, you don't have to know this. I'm just showing you. Remember that whenever you read each line, it has this new line character at the end. And remember that by default, print puts a new line at the end, which can actually change if you did the. So if we did end equals something. So this is as a default parameter that is that. Oh my God, I shouldn't be going into this. You know what? Sorry, forget that. So we're gonna print out. So we printed each line in the file, and basically what I was getting to is that you probably want to strip these lines because they have a new line at the end. So we have each line from the file. Remember that you have to strip the line because the line has by default a new line at the end, which you can, I guess, it's fine. You can see that there's the new line there if you run this encode function because it won't interpret those new lines. So see that there's a new line here. Just remember, you got to strip it. So now, basically, if we imagine these lines in this file, print line. So we want to get this as a list of individual things. So we have to split it. And you know what? You could just remember every time. So if I'm going to say this is my list of nums is, so we do line dot strip dot split. You know what? A lot of people just like chain these together every time anyway. So I guess, yeah, for CSVs, you can just say, like, every line you got to strip and split. If you want to remember the funny way to remember that, you remember when you're streaking the line, you got to strip and then split. You don't split and then strip. That'd be weird. Yeah. So we got this line here, and we stripped it, which took off that new line character. That took off that extra new line that you're seeing here. And then we split it, which basically, remember, split just like... So remember, how about we just play around with split real quick, just so we remember. You can skip this if you want. I always forget you can skip things in the video, so I can go into whatever I want. So we have this. Somewhere if we do dot split on the comma, that's going to turn all those commas into real commas. The way I imagine split basically is if we had like underscores here. I imagine it turns the thing that you're splitting on into commas, because that's how I visualize the list. So like if I did dot split on underscore. So it's basically going to turn all these into commas, right? So now we have A, right? So you can think of this as turning these commas into real commas. And so that kind of helps in the cases where, like, if you have, like, 2 commas here, so it's going to turn those commas into real commas. So what's between them? Well, nothing. We're going to have that empty string there. So that's, like, it kind of helps in that case. So if you had, like, 2 underscores here, you get that empty string there. So I'm kind of way off topic. Yeah, so let's take a step back. So remember I said we should do the for line in F. So do the for loop over each line, and we can get a list of nums, and this is going to be equal to line dot strip. We got strip and then dot split, because we always strip and then split. So we stripped on white space and we split on the comma. Don't forget that. It will split on white space if you don't put that there, so be careful. So yeah, how about we print out where we are, even though you can't do this on the exam. But so right now we have a list of numbers. So the first one we have this and that. So remember, we need to return the percentage of, or we need to get the percentage of numbers that start with 1. So we have this list of numbers. And since we're going to be adding to some list the whole time, you probably should have remembered this before the for loop, so we don't have to like erase or something. But so we continue to start out. I'll say our variable that we're going to return. I usually name it out. So we're going to make this be an empty list. We're going to append to this each time. So we're going to. So now we need to get to the percentage. We need to get the percentage that starts with 1. So let me check my battery real quick. Good. So now we need to basically loop over each one of these numbers to figure out how many start with 1. So how about we say the number of them is the length of the list. So that way we can divide by it, so we can get our percentage, right? So now I'm going to say for number in list of numbers. Keep in mind that this is kind of misleading, actually, naming it nums, because these are all strings. See the quotes? So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to say, for each number string thingy in the list of numbers, I'm going to say if. So how do we say? Basically, we should say, if the number starts with 1, how about we add to some count. Actually, so you know what? Instead of storing this as the length, let's just say, so we need to like have like a total. So like I start that at 0, I guess. So I'm gonna say if the number starts with 1, then we're going to add to the total. So how do we write this? So how do we write if a number starts with 1? So I guess the easy way to remember is you could just say if number 0 is greater, equals 1, that could work. But the problem is if number's empty, this isn't gonna work, right? Because if we, how about we try this in here? So if I say number equals empty string, and then I do this, that's not gonna work because we're indexing out of range. So instead, kind of a safer thing you could do is this. Remember from the strings lab, there's this cool function called starts with, I think. Starts with Yeah, see, that's a function. So we can say if number dot starts with 1. See, this says false, even though number is an empty string. So that's kind of safe there, so we don't have to do that indexing. Yeah. So I'm going to say if number dot starts with 1, then we're going to add to the total. So I'm going to say total plus equals 1. So this is sort of like the total that we are a total number of numbers that start with 1 in this list. Yeah. So how about we print out what the total is? We can start this up in debug mode, see what's going on. So yeah, you see the first time. So our list right here, our line is 1, 3, 13, 39. And so we get this list. So we split on the comma, and we got this list of 1, 3, 13, 39. And then, so we went through this for loop, and we found 2 total numbers that start with 1. So now what are we going to do? So now we have so we have 2 total numbers that start with 1. So now we need to return what they, or we need to not return. We need to add to this out variable, right? So this is kind of weird. We got these 2 nested for loops and these 2 variables going on. So you got to kind of keep track of all those. So now, so we're going to say out dot append, or maybe, you know what, we should probably do like the percentage. So how about we store this in a variable? You could just pass this into append, but so yeah, let's say this is percentage equals, we're going to do, so it's going to be the total number of numbers that start with 1 divided by the length of the list of numbers. There we go. So now we're going to out. I don't know why this line is highlighted. It's really annoying. Can I just like get rid of? Oh my goodness, what is going on? Okay, so that's highlighted now. Okay, so let's do out.append the percentage. So if we how about we run this in? Let's put a. Oh, it's still in debug mode. That's why. So yeah, let's run this again. So we see that. So for the first one, we had 1, 5, 13, and 39. And we're getting the so the total number of numbers that started with 1 was 2, and so that means that we basically did 2 divided by 4. So that gives us a percentage of 0.5, which is what we want for the first one, I believe. Yeah, 0.5. So when we appended, we're going to append to this list. So how about we just see what this runs. So one thing, do you see the big thing I'm forgetting? So let's say, let me stop this debug. So if I just turn this in, if I said, all right, you know what, I opened from the file, and let me just get rid of this comment. So I opened the file, and I made an empty list. I said for each line, I stripped and I split, and so that gave me a list. And then I for looped over that list, and I said, okay, if the number starts with 1, I'm going to add to this variable that's kind of keeping track of everything for this line. And then I'm going to put the percentage in out list, and that's it, right? Well, remember, you gotta remember, you gotta return the last variable. So we gotta return what our function is returning. Every time you're writing functions, say, what should this be returning? Don't forget to return. So yeah, so this is going to be, how about we print what the list that this returns. So this got me 0.5, 0.75, and 0. Is that the right one? Let's see, 0.5. I can't hold this in my head. I have to copy it over. Yeah, that looks right. Yeah. How does this compare to the example solution? So let's see. We have a list. We say for each of the lines or each row in the bank, we strip and split it. So we this kind of just throws the list into the for loop. I usually don't recommend that. I recommend like making a variable and then for loop over it. I don't know. And then so this checks value 0. Oh, so what if it's empty? Oh, well, I guess you know what. If it's like a CSV, you're probably not gonna have a number like this. But I'm just saying, like, this one might like mess up, right? So remember that that's empty. That's gonna break. But whatever, So this says, okay, if the first one is 1. Now we're going to add to this 1 count. Where is that? 1 count? Is that defined anywhere? What the heck does this run? Hold up. What? Oh, indent all this. Why don't PDFs ever work ever? There's that. There's that, I think. And then, yeah, this is not defined. Okay, well that's just wrong. Okay, and then we're gonna add to total, which isn't defined either. What? Okay. Okay. Well, here's an answer for you. This works. If I undo to get mine, so this works because yeah, that works. So yeah. There you go. Yeah, that's how that works. You know what? Yeah.